I don't know. How about the beginning? I don't know, the middle, wherever. And of course, my mother raised me and my sisters alone. So everywhere she was, I was. My mother was the musical director for the church that we went to, which was her father's church. Music was all around. It was everywhere all the time. And because it was her responsibility to put together all the music for the church, yes, definitely. I've been singing my entire life in church.
She had the voice of a legend, rich, gospel-rooted, soul-drenched, and for a moment it seemed like Kelly Price would take her place among the greats. She wasn't just another R&B singer, she was the voice behind the voice. From harmonizing behind Mariah Carey to penning hits for Puff Daddy, Kelly Price was everywhere, even if you didn't always see her face. Her vocals carried emotion, power, and truth. She was, by every definition, a vocal beast. But somewhere between platinum plaques and standing ovations, her name began to fade. Headlines stopped talking about her voice and started focusing on lawsuits, TV drama, and personal scandals. The narrative shifted. Fans who once cheered her on began to whisper, "What happened to Kelly Price?" Then came the moment that truly shocked everyone. In 2021, she was reported missing. It wasn't just gossip, it was fear, confusion, and chaos. A Grammy-nominated star had vanished, and nobody seemed to have real answers. In a world where social media can cancel you in a day and fame can turn toxic in a second, Kelly Price's story isn't just the fall from grace, it's a cautionary tale. She clashed with industry executives, endured the death of her sister, suffered public judgment, and was torn apart by the very fan base that once worshipped her. Was it self-destruction? Was she unfairly vilified? Or was she simply crushed by an industry that praises talent but only rewards image? This is the downfall of a diva. The raw, surprising timeline of Kelly Price's rise, fall, and uncertain legacy. Stick around, because what you're about to hear isn't just a story, it's a warning. Before the headlines and drama, before the reality shows and the online rents, there was just Kelly, a girl from Queens with a voice so powerful it could silence a room. Raised in the heart of a devout Pentecostal family, she honed her gift in church choirs, where gospel wasn't just music, it was ministry. Her mother was the musical director, her grandfather a bishop. Singing wasn't optional, it was for divine purpose. And from a young age, it was clear Kelly had something rare. Her talent caught attention quickly. By her teens, she was already performing professionally, and by the early 90s, she was a go-to background vocalist. She wasn't in the spotlight, but she was always near it. Her harmonies graced Mariah Carey's biggest hits, songs like Fantasy and Hero, and her voice added emotional depth to tracks by Faith Evans, SWV, and Ronald Isley. In an industry where background singers often stay in the shadows, Kelly stood out. Her voice didn't just support, it stole focus. Everyone from Diddy to Whitney Houston wanted her touch on their music. She was even offered a deal with Bad Boy Records, but she turned it down. A bold move, opting instead to sign with the Isley Brothers' T-Neck label, which promised her more artistic control. In 1998, her debut album, Soul of a Woman, dropped, and with it, her breakout single, Friend of Mine. The track wasn't just a hit, it was a cultural moment. A song about betrayal, heartbreak, and strength, it resonated deeply with Black women especially. The remix, featuring R. Kelly and Ronald Isley, pushed the song even higher. It topped the R&B charts, got heavy rotation on BET, and catapulted Kelly into the mainstream. Critics praised her for reviving the raw soul of 90s R&B. She wasn't trying to be flashy, no gimmicks, just vocals and truth. And it worked. Soul of a Woman went platinum. The industry saw her as the next great R&B torchbearer, a successor to legends like Aretha Franklin and Patti LaBelle. People began to say this woman could be the next big thing. But behind the scenes, cracks were already forming. Shortly after the album's success, Kelly's relationship with the Isley Brothers soured. She filed lawsuits claiming they misused her name and blocked her from working with other artists, including Whitney Houston. It was a bold and rare move for a new artist to take legal action so early in her career, and it made people in the industry nervous. If she was willing to challenge icons, what else would she challenge? Despite the legal chaos, Kelly pushed forward. Her sophomore album, Mirror Mirror, released in 2000, was another strong showing. Tracks like You Shoulda Told Me and As We Lay proved that her voice was only getting richer. But while the vocals were undeniable, the momentum was beginning to stall. The problem wasn't the music, it was the marketing. In an era dominated by ultra-glamorous stars like Beyoncé, Aaliyah, and Ashanti, Kelly didn't fit the mold. She was full-figured, confident, and spiritual, but not easily brandable. The industry wasn't built to support someone like her, not without compromise. And Kelly Price wasn't one to compromise. Even so, her fans remained loyal. To them, she wasn't just another singer. She was real. She sang about betrayal, pain, and faith like someone who had lived every lyric. And the truth is, she had. But fame, as Kelly would soon learn, doesn't reward rawness for long, especially when you're a black woman unwilling to play the game. By the early 2000s, Kelly Price had proven she had the voice, the songs, and the fan base. But in an industry built more on visuals than vocals, cracks began to show, not in her talent, but in how the industry treated her. Let's be honest, Kelly Price never looked like the typical R&B star of the era. While Beyoncé, Ashanti, and Aaliyah dominated the mainstream with polished images and size zero figures, Kelly stood apart, curvy, confident, and definitely herself. But confidence wasn't enough. In meetings and behind closed doors, whispers spread. Some execs called her unmarketable. She heard it all. We love your voice, but we don't know how to package you.
And that's where the slow sabotage began. Her second album, Mirror Mirror, was critically praised but didn't receive the same promotional push. The visuals were dimmer, the video budgets smaller. The label didn't seem to know what to do with her. She was too church for pop, too real for glossy branding. And while her vocals still blew the roof off, the media focused more on her looks than her lyrics. Fans noticed the shift. While some blamed the industry, others began unfairly blaming Kelly herself. Online threads speculated that she had an attitude problem or didn't want fame bad enough. The truth? Kelly did want success. She just didn't want to sell herself short to get it. Still, she kept pushing. In 2003, she released Priceless, an album full of vulnerability and passion. Tracks like Again and Sister showcased her storytelling. But again, the project didn't take off. It received modest airplay and barely made a dent on the charts. To stay visible, Kelly tried different routes. She released a Christmas album. She made guest appearances on gospel and R&B collaborations. She sang at events, award shows, and church conferences. But nothing had the same impact as her debut. Bit by bit, Kelly Price, the platinum-selling powerhouse, was becoming an industry afterthought. It didn't help that her public persona was hard to define. She was a gospel-raised diva who sang about cheating partners. A body-positive woman in an industry that punished plus-size black women. She wasn't messy enough for the tabloids, but not polished enough for mainstream talk shows. And so, the industry left her in limbo. Then came the backlash. In 2013, Kelly tweeted a cryptic message that many took as shade towards Mariah Carey during her time on American Idol. The tweet simply said, "Being a singer and being an artist are two different things." Fans connected the dots and went off. She was accused of jealousy, bitterness, and biting the hand that fed her. Even if she hadn't meant it as an insult, the damage was done. That tweet became the start of a new pattern. Kelly Price, the respected vocalist, was becoming Kelly Price, the headline. She still had the voice, but the narrative was changing and not in her favor. Just as Kelly Price was trying to steady her career, life hit her harder than any industry backlash ever could. In 2014, her beloved sister passed away from cancer, a devastating blow to someone who'd already been battling grief, career uncertainty, and public scrutiny. To those close to her, it was the moment everything changed. Kelly didn't just lose her sister, she lost her anchor, her confidant, and the person who kept her grounded when everything else felt unstable.
The grief was overwhelming, and while Kelly tried to push forward, appearing on stage, doing interviews, continuing to record, Fans could tell something was different. Her spark had dimmed. Her tone was heavier. The fire was there, but it was buried under pain. She was present, but emotionally distant. The weight of loss hung over her like a shadow. Around this time, Kelly took what many thought would be a smart career move, joining the cast of R&B Divas LA in 2013. Reality TV was thriving, and it was an opportunity to reintroduce herself to the public, show her personality, and possibly reboot her brand. But instead of a redemption arc, what unfolded was a PR nightmare. Viewers were shocked at Kelly's portrayal on the show. She came across as cold, dismissive, and at times, combative. A now infamous scene involving a vocal Bible rehearsal turned into meme material. Social media lit up with criticism. People started calling her shady, mean, and uncoachable. Some fans even accused her of bullying fellow cast members. Kelly later claimed the show was heavily edited to fit a narrative, that she was misrepresented and manipulated for drama. And to be fair, that's not unheard of in reality TV, but the damage was done. Instead of reviving her public image, R&B Divas further complicated it. She was no longer just the underrated powerhouse. Now she was controversial. All of this unfolded while Kelly was quietly navigating deep, personal trauma. Her 23-year marriage was falling apart behind closed doors. Her husband, who had also been her manager, was accused by Kelly of abuse and disrespect. In interviews, she described the pain of realizing her home wasn't a safe space, and her career had been controlled more than she realized. Divorcing someone you built your life and business with is hard enough. Doing it while the world is watching and judging is even harder. While some fans showed support, others questioned her choices, called her bitter, and even accused her of playing the victim. And then came the backlash from the faith community. In 2016, Kelly performed at the Indiana Black Expo, where she sang secular music during what was supposed to be a gospel segment. The crowd was confused. Criticism was swift. Many accused her of being disrespectful to the platform. Gospel purists said she'd lost her way, and when she defended herself online, the response wasn't understanding, it was vicious. This wasn't just criticism, it was rejection from a community that had once embraced her fully. For someone who had always walked the line between gospel and R&B, it was a painful reminder that the public could be as unforgiving as the industry. With her image in tatters, her family broken, and her faith community turning its back on her, Kelly seemed increasingly isolated. She wasn't just dealing with loss, she was drowning in it. The industry had cooled, her fans were divided, and even the church was questioning her. And for the first time, it looked like Kelly Price might not bounce back.
In September 2021, headlines exploded with the story that sounded more like a Lifetime movie than real life. Kelly Price was missing. Her family claimed they hadn't heard from her in weeks following a reported COVID-19 hospitalization. Friends were concerned. Her children were silent. Her sister called the police. And the public? The public was stunned. This wasn't some obscure internet rumor. It was reported by TMZ, CNN, and the New York Post. One of R&B's most legendary voices had vanished without a trace. And nobody had a clear answer why. The internet ran wild with speculation. Some thought she had died and the family was hiding it. Others suspected mental health issues, abduction, or worse. Twitter turned into a frenzy of hashtags, theories, and think pieces about the pressure of celebrity, Black women being ignored, and the price of fame. Then, just as suddenly as she vanished, Kelly resurfaced. In an exclusive interview with TMZ, she explained she had indeed battled COVID-19 and at one point had even flatlined. According to her, after being discharged, she chose to isolate with her partner to recover privately. She accused her estranged sister of exploiting the situation and trying to put her under a conservatorship. The drama wasn't just about health. It was about control, trust, and betrayal. Kelly insisted she wasn't missing, she was healing. But for many, the damage was done. Her sister's story directly contradicted hers. Accusations flew. Some fans believed Kelly, others sided with the family. The same internet that had begged for her safety now flipped, calling her dramatic, selfish, and attention-seeking. What should have been a moment of empathy turned into a public dragging. The ordeal exposed a deeper truth. Kelly Price had become a symbol of unpredictability. Over the years, fans had gotten used to her being in and out of the spotlight, posting cryptic messages or clapping back online, but this was different. This wasn't about music or image, it was about life and death, and many felt she hadn't respected the public's concern. Even loyal fans started to distance themselves. Comment sections filled with confusion and criticism. Some asked, why didn't she just say she was okay? Others wondered if this was the final nail in her already shaky public image. It wasn't just a disappearance, it was a breakdown of trust. For Kelly, the experience seemed to harden her. She became more defensive online. She spoke about betrayal, fake love, and being tired of explaining herself. It was clear this wasn't just a PR crisis. It was personal. What began as a help scare ended up cementing the public's perception that Kelly Price was unstable, unpredictable, and maybe even unreachable. And sadly, the next time she made headlines, it would be for something even worse. In 2025, Kelly Price once again found herself at the center of controversy, this time entirely of her own making. During a heated Instagram live session, she addressed years of body shaming and online bullying. But what started as a passionate defense spiraled into an angry rant. In a moment of frustration, she referred to many of her critics, especially Black women, as disrespectful, jealous, and even called some of them DEI hires. The backlash was swift, brutal, and for many, final. It wasn't just a bad look, it was the final straw. People who had stood by her through decades of ups and downs finally tapped out. Longtime fans deleted playlists. Music blogs declared her over. Comment sections, once mixed, were now united in disappointment. And just like that, a woman once celebrated for her voice became overshadowed by her voice online. But what does all of this say about Kelly Price's legacy? She was never an industry puppet. She didn't play the game, and she refused to shrink herself to fit into an image that wasn't authentic. She chose truth over optics, emotion over performance, and in doing so, she gave us some of the most raw, relatable, and powerful music of the late 90s and early 2000s. But she also stumbled publicly, painfully, and often unapologetically. Her downfall isn't about one tweet, one show, or one bad interview. It's about a pattern, a woman caught between who she was, who the world wanted her to be, and who she refused to become. In a different world, one less obsessed with image, weight, and likability, Kelly Price might have been a legend celebrated on the level of Jill Scott or Fantasia. She had the voice, she had the pen, she had the story, but she also had the burden. The burden of being a full-bodied Black woman in a thin, obsessed industry. The burden of being too churchy for secular audiences and too secular for the church. The burden of being honest in a world that rewards illusion. Maybe that's why so many people still talk about her, not just with criticism, but with frustration. Because deep down, people know the truth. Kelly Price could have been more. More decorated, more respected, more celebrated. But maybe that was never her point. Maybe her legacy isn't in the awards or chart placements, but in the rawness she brought to the mic, in the tears her songs pulled from listeners, in this way she gave voice to heartbreak, betrayal, sisterhood, and survival. Her story isn't tidy. It doesn't fit a clean narrative arc. And maybe that's exactly why it matters. Because Kelly Price reminds us what happens when raw talent collides with real life. And for better or worse, we won't forget her. If you found this breakdown powerful, hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives like this one.